Hi there, welcome back to 1KB Construction. In today's video you will be learning how to build a deck. In our previous video we did our footing, and in today's video we will be installing our ledger board, and also we're going to install our beam. So we're going to go through all that in today's video. Stick around. So with no further ado, let's dive right into the video. So in our previous video we installed our footing here. If you haven't seen those videos, feel free to go and check them out. See, we're on our string line. Today we're just gonna mark out over here for a creeper. Okay, so now we need to figure out where we're gonna start our deck board. Most people would start their deck board flush right up to the top of the sill here. Here we're gonna start our deck board right underneath the bottom of this sill. Two reasons. It helped to back off the snow from going inside of the home, and another reason, you get to expose the beautiful sill. As you see here, they have a sill installed here. So this is where our deck board gonna be. This is just a sample piece that I cut from the deck board that we're gonna use. So I put my level on it. I'm just gonna level right underneath the bottom. For our ledger board, we're gonna go with a 2x8. So I'm just gonna level underneath the bottom of my ledger board. We're gonna mark it onto our wall. Now I don't have a sample piece of the beam. The beam we're gonna use is 2x10. So we're just gonna measure down from the bottom of our ledger board here. So we know that the top of our ledger board is right here. The bottom is right here. And now we're gonna measure for our beam, which is gonna be 2x10. So just gonna take a mark right here. This mark that we're taking now is the level, is the mark that we're gonna use. So this will be the bottom. So this will be the bottom of our post that we're gonna connect. So what I want to do here now, I want to connect temporary piece of wood, so that way we can use this wood to level our post that we're gonna connect our beam on. So that's what we're gonna do right now. So we're gonna screw this temporary into this wall here. So we're just gonna screw this right onto the bottom. So now we need to put back this in position. We'll bring it right down to the bottom of where we want to have him. Just using a top gun screw here. So now we need to check again for level. It's very important to make sure that we have this board level here. Okay, so now you want to find a straight piece of 2x4 or a straight piece of lumber. Just gonna sit our lumber right here. Gonna go and clamp this boy up. Let me go grab one of my clamps. So we're just gonna put this close to where our post gonna be. This way we can just clamp these together. Okay, I'm gonna go and clamp one down there. And all we have to do now is just put our level right on top. It's telling me that she needs to go up a little bit, so we're just gonna release. Go up a little bit. Now we're gonna check to make sure that she's level. So now if you check, you see that it's 100% level. Now we know that from the bottom of this wood, right down there is the height of where my post is gonna be. So now we need to just measure from down here to the bottom, which should be 17 5/8. Now we have to remove this over to all of these posts, because you know it's Even though I try my best to level all these tube in one, I will still want to go back through and move them over just to make sure that all of them is in line with each other. Now we're gonna cut this piece here that is 17 and 5/8. Okay, so the first thing we gotta do here, we have to square. The first thing we wanna do, we wanna square the head. Because remember, the board never comes square from the factory, so we're gonna square it before we go ahead and make our cut. Okay, after we make our cut, the measurement is 17 and 5/8. So we're gonna mark 17 and 5/8. Okay, so whenever you're dealing with any pressure treated hood, you want to make sure once you cut it, you want to make sure that you go back to and seal it. We're using this product called Cut and Seal. Usually they only pressure treated the hotel outside or the outer layer of the wood. So you want to go back to and seal it before you do this, before you do any form of installation. As you see, I'm just soak it in. You know, just tap it on there. Make sure it's soaking properly. Before, once you make any form of cut, you want to make sure that you use this product over it to seal it. That way you won't have any rotting in the future. So this is going to be our first one right here. As you see, it's right underneath the bottom in place. We need to go to and do the same thing with all the other ones that we did. Okay, so we're finished with that one. Now we're going to move it over to the other one that's here. So all we do now, we just lift it up, swing it around. Just like you see I'm doing it here. It's just a one-man stand that we're using. You have to make sure you check to make sure that it's still sitting underneath there. Now we're gonna go back and check for leveling again. Now it's telling me that we need to go down just a slightly down. So right there is where it's level. Now that I know that it's level, I'm just gonna take some measurement from the bottom, just like we did with the other one. Come right up underneath here. So here is just a fraction different. Over there is 17 and 5/8. Over here is 17 and 3/4. So that's just 1/8 of a difference. So it's not too bad. We're gonna cut that one 17 and 3/4 right now. Gonna take a measurement again. 17 and 3/4. So as you see here, I carry my blade close to it before I start it. Make sure that my blade is lined up with my line. Then I go ahead and go for my cut. If I go and I check, 17 and 3/4. So like I said earlier, we have to treat all the head. Once we do any form of cuttings, we have to go back and treat them. I like to treat as I go, just so that way you don't forget to treat it. You know, some people cut all of them and put them down, then they go back and treat them. But for me, treating as I go. So now we put this one in place. Alright, so we finished to install all 4 posts. Now what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna secure the 2 N1 with some structural screw. We're gonna leave the carriage bolt for afterwards. So I'm gonna go secure that one, make sure they're nice and plumb. And afterwards we're gonna run a string line right in the middle here to catch these 2 middle one here. We already know that our saddle is in line, but we're still gonna check again to make sure. So I have my post level. Right now, where it is right now is 100% level. I don't even need to touch it. So all I have to do now is just screw my structural screw in place. I'm only gonna put 2 screws for now. 1 on either side. So we have one over this side. Now I'm going to put one over this side here, so that way I can draw back this one over, back over. So if you look, you see both sides is plumb. This side is plumb over here, and over here that one is plumb over there. So all we have to do now is to do the same thing down there, and afterwards we're going to run a string line. We're just going to put our level on. Once it's level, gonna go ahead and screw. Remember, we're putting the bolt the opposite direction. So I find when I hold the post in place while I'm screwing it and hold it in the position where it's level, it's better. The other one, what I did, I just screwed up without holding it in place. And I notice it shift a little bit. I have to kind of structure it in a way. So this one is nice and plumb. So see here, it's nice and plumb on both sides. So all we have to do now is just string a line right here, string a line down there, and afterwards we're gonna catch the one that go in the middle here. Now we're just gonna pull on this thing here. We don't want to pull too much. We don't want to have too much tension on it just as yet. So what I like to do, I like to take some measurement. So I'm going to measure from the hose. 79 down there. We should have the same 79 down here as well. All right, so this one where it is good. You see, it's a fraction away from where the post is. The line is just a fraction away. Okay guys, so I was gonna install a ledger board here, but because I need to make a few cuts on the wall, it's a more later in the evening, I'm gonna just continue with the beam here. And after tomorrow, we're gonna install the ledger board so we're just gonna go ahead and continue with our beam for now. So right out here, I have a mark on my wall where I want the end of my deck to fall. So now I need to square it to send the same measurement that I have over here right over to there. I'm gonna show you guys a simple, easy way how you can square your deck, so that way we can know the measurement that we need to take in order to start our beam going back that direction. So I'm gonna sit this block right here. I'm gonna get another block, just sit it right here as well. We're gonna get a straight edge. You want to make sure that you have a piece of wood that is 100% straight. All I'm trying to do now It's just square my wood. So this wood is straight, so it's telling me that I need to push back that way. I have a mark on my wall right here that I need to. So it's telling me that I need to go back out like so. So right now that's where it's square. Okay, so we're gonna go with a 3, 4, 5 method here just to check. So we're gonna go 3 feet this way. Just measure it 3 feet. Come to here. We're gonna go 4 feet this way. Right out to the outer layer, 4 feet. So the 3, 4, 5, I measure 3 feet that way. We should have 5 feet over here from my mark. And as you see here, 5 feet is right there. So this way I know that where I have him right now is 100% square. Okay, so we have our first beam right here. These are the 2 boards that we're gonna use for our beam. I'm just sandwiching them together. Just check to see. Is even with each other. All right. So the way we're gonna do this, we're gonna measure 2 inches. We're gonna put a few screws, 2 inches from the outer end, 2 inches from the inner end. And we're gonna go 16 inches apart. We'll go right till we reach right down to the bottom. So we're gonna go with a screw here, another one here, 16 inches apart. Go all the way to, we're gonna have two screws. Here I already have some marks, some 16 inches mark on my tape. Make my life a bit easier to know exactly where to get my marks. So now all I have to do now is measure 2 inches. 2 inches from the bottom up. Gonna do the same thing over the opposite side. Alright. Now we're gonna go ahead and make some screws. Number 2 inches. Make sure they flush with each other. One right here. So I have a mark right here from my square. This is the outer side of where I want my deck to be. So now we just gotta secure everything together for our beam. For this one we're using some 2.5 inches structural screw. So I'm gonna go ahead and make all my top connection first. After we're gonna plumb it up before we make the bottom connection. Okay. Gonna go ahead and use some structural screw here.